It's raining ducks. It's raining ducks everywhere, especially after this past weekend.
Oh yeah.
Ducks.
I thought you were gonna break into song there. I was like, cool.
Well, I probably forgot the lyrics, but it's it's been quite the ride ever since Saturday, and there was a lot of fun stuff that went down at Autzen Stadium. Our tailgater show was phenomenal. Lots of people down there, and it was really exciting. And you can't ask for anything better in college football. By the way, start of the show is being brought to you by Capital Nissan, right down there off the Parkway and Cherry Avenue. Uh, Great place to go for Nissan. Actually, it's the only place you can go in Salem for Nissan. So there you go. All right, guys. Sweet Jer, Brandon.
Yes. Just Brandon. Something Brandon.
Just Brandon.
Let's go,
No,
Brandon.
there's nothing extra for Brandon here. We're just going to leave him alone.
Hey, you know, as much fun as the tailgate show was, and the environment in the parking lot, getting inside the friendly confines of Autzen Stadium, best environment I think I've ever witnessed at a college football game. Man, I had fun.
It was just electric. I mean, with all the Oregon fans that showed out and an enormous amount of Ohio State fans, they travel very well. I was very impressed. And then the game happens, and I'm still trying to recover my voice from Saturday night. It was crazy.
My ears were ringing for another 24 hours.
Mine still
it,
are.
It was
Mine are
so
still ringing.
loud. I can't even believe what we witnessed there. There were so many calls that, I mean, I'm going to sound like a homer here, but I'm not. I'm being serious. I mean, the first series out of the gate, Bassa intercepted that football. The tight end did not, or the receiver, I think it was the tight end. He did not have the ball.
Yeah.
And it's just like they didn't review it. We're just sitting their hands going, it's like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. I don't know what the TV announcers, I haven't watched the replay. I think you have,
I did,
haven't you, Jerry?
yeah.
What were they saying?
Oh, what was cool about that was when I watched a replay, you could see it the first time. The guy, the tight end never caught it. It was bouncing around, and Bassa kind of fell on it and caught it on top of the guy. And I mean, it was just the way he kind of jerked, because then the tight end tried to grab it away from him, and the way he jerked away, I think that's what made some of the, in the minds of the refs say, oh, he just yanked it out of his hands type of a thing or something. I mean, it was almost like an optical illusion. But then they went on and they said, hey, they should have stopped that. The announcers were saying that.
Well,
and Brock Heward was one of them, right? But then after they scored and they went to the timeout and they came back in, they got the rules official out there, the guy they always cut away to. He goes, that was clearly an interception.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. That ball was picked.
Well, and even in his post-game presser, Dan said, well, I could have expended a timeout there. We've got guys up top, and they just didn't have enough time to review it and say, hey, we need to stop the game because that's an interception.
It was fast.
And,
Those referees, they got that ball down, and they gave Ohio State, no, first down, we're going. And there was just, you're right. There was no time for Lanning or anybody else to do anything, and we're just sitting in the stands going, what is going on here?
And like, really good on Ohio State for jumping on that and getting to the line and going. I mean, we've tried to do the same things, but they've always blown it dead just in time. I don't know that we've ever benefited from
typically they'll
going.
stop it, just before you snap the football, but they just kept letting it go, and it's just like, man. Well, thank goodness that didn't have anything to do with the outcome of the ball game, but what a finish, man.
Yeah.
That was unreal. Total bonehead by Howard, but I think when you're in competition like that and you're trying to make a play, you're trying to get I think you lose it a little bit because all the pressure, you've got to get there, and I think that you just forget the time frame that you're in.
Well, you always talk about that internal clock that a quarterback has back there when you feel the pressure, whatever and stuff. 6 seconds is not a lot of time.
No.
And with the noise that was raining down, Brandon and I were talking about on our way in here, you could feel the noise. I mean, when you can not only hear it, but feel it hitting you on the back of the head as it's coming down there. Woo-wee, that was fun.
Yeah, that was...
I haven't heard that before. Woo-wee. That's a good one.
I think my ear hair was blowing as all that stuff was, going.
Oh, my
gosh.
my
Goodness.
That was so funny. But I'm telling you, Dylan Gabriel came out. I mean, a couple of bombs, one to... Stewart, and another one to Tez Johnson for the touchdown, just right back to back after Ohio State goes down and scores. What a great answer from the Ducks and our offense. The offensive line played extremely well. They blocked so well for for Dillon, and I don't think the one that he got tackled on, it wasn't even he was running for a first down and got tackled, beyond the line of scrimmage. But what a testament to this Duck team. They keep progressing, and they're getting better and better and better every week, and it's getting pretty exciting.
I mean, just a great game for Connerly and Cornelius.
Mm-hmm.
You got the right tackle, left tackle, and then you got Tuio Maloloau
Yes.
and Jack Sawyer both on the ends. Yes,
Nailed it.
exactly. So you got two probably day one NFL guys on the defense going up against, I would say Connerly's going to be a day one left tackle, and Cornelius might have just played his way into the first round for this game.
Jerry Harris, Jeff Morgan, Brandon Haynes here for Reigning Ducks, and I wanted to take a moment to thank Advantage Heating and Air for their sponsorship of the show, and Electrical Now. So appreciate their support, and yeah, you can't say enough about Ohio State. They came in, they played a really good football game. I got to be honest, Howard, it really impressed me. That guy throws the ball on a dime, and he hit his receivers in stride. I don't even know if he really had that many. Did he have that many incompletions? I don't recall him really incompleting a pass.
No, his
gotta
completion
look it
percentage was better than Gabriel's for
I
sure.
think it was like 25 or 28 or something.
Difference
like that.
is that he had the interception,
I know I got it.
That's true.
and
28 of 35 is what he ended up.
That's pretty stinking good.
Yes.
so I mean, in that type of game, I think we talked about it on the Tailgater show. It's who's going to play the cleaner game,
Mm-hmm.
and Oregon had, I think, 3 penalties for 25 yards. Ohio State had 8 for 70 or something like
One
that.
the most boneheaded play I've ever. Oh, I'm not supposed to tap that.
I'm getting to that.
Animated on the table.
So penalties, we won that battle. Turnovers, we won that battle.
Mm-hmm.
And
Spitting, we did not win.
in that close of a game,
No Hakatua for us.
Gosh.
which
it almost
brings
looked
me-
like, did he just blow into his face, or did he actually
Oh, no,
throw
he-
out
he
some?
spit on him.
He's
That was bad. I'm sure
it
that
was
was
awful.
whoever that DB was. I'm sure he deserved it, but you just have to walk away.
So I think it was 3 weeks ago, I said Holden, I don't know if it was on the podcast or if it was on the Tailgater show, but Holden's emotions are going to cost us. And it's happened 2 times now where he's been called for penalties. Could have happened in the Michigan State game where he got tangled up with a defender and he was kicking his feet trying to get loose. And, it wouldn't surprise me if he's suspended this week for this game.
Wouldn't surprise me either. Did you see Lanning's interaction with him on the sidelines?
A little bit.
So he just kind of pulled him aside. He wasn't yelling at him. He wasn't up in his face. But I guarantee you they've had conversations about him controlling his emotions before because he was very, it looked like a teacher,
A father son.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, he was
Hot
really
conversation.
talking to him about, you know what? We talked about this, bro. Something was going on there that was deeper
And
than otherwise he'd have just been chewing him out for
Yeah.
costing us in that situation. But it was interesting. I
And
was like, wow.
he was upset because he goes up into the tunnel, throws his helmet, falls to his knees, head and hands. He knew he screwed up. And
Absolutely.
he really needs to get a hold on that because he's the type of receiver that we need. He's the biggest, other than Kyler Casper, he's 6'4", 220. He's a big guy. Tez isn't over 6 feet. Evan Stewart may be 6 feet, but we need that big-bodied receiver, and we're just
Stewart carried
Without
that DB for at least 20 yards when
That
he
was
caught
good.
that.
Denzel Burke. Yeah, he carried him.
Unbelievable.
I got to admit, I spent some time in some Ohio State forums, the last couple of days and stuff, just trying to get their take on the game, and they were hard on Burke, and they should be. He was burnt quite a few times, and they're like, "Would you just take the guy down rather than trying to rip the ball?" Because there was a couple of times where he got carried a few, a couple extra 10, 15, 20 yards. And Stewart's not, thought of as the biggest guy, but boy, he was fighting for some extra yardage there.
Yeah, and he had that full head of steam, caught the
Yeah.
ball in stride. He didn't have to stop for it, which certainly helped a lot.
I didn't realize it was such a tightrope down that sideline, too,
Yeah.
man. That was impressive.
Yeah.
It was good.
Hey, I want to go back to that Will Howard thing, though, for a second, because I saw something in there that was interesting, and I remember seeing some of the talk early on around, Big 12, Big 10, whatever it is. Big 18. Big 18 teams now, the Big 18. Anyway, around the media day, they were talking about this, and Ohio State was saying, you know what? We've got that team. As long as Will Howard can keep it together, this team could go all the way, right? And then I see a little bit of Will Howard bashing just because of that last play type of thing. He was phenomenal in that game.
Yeah.
I mean, I kept just saying, my goodness, is he going to make a mistake? Can we get some pressure on him? We finally got a sack on him, but I thought it was a good takedown. He kind of was trying to get away from Mateo and fell down.
Yeah.
Still a sack, but my goodness, he played excellent football.
Yeah, he's really good, and he's big, and he is. You're right, he is fast, and
Yes.
the offensive line for Ohio State blocked extremely well for him. He really hardly had any pressure whatsoever. I don't know if that was the game plan for the defense with Dan Lanning, but we couldn't get to him at all. So I think we were just going to let him make a mistake and cover the receivers downfield if you can. I mean, Smith had a great game.
Yeah, he did.
So-
Well, and so did Egbuka. I mean, they both.
Yeah, they
played
both did.
phenomenal.
Awesome.
Yeah.
They are so good. And we had some blown coverages, for touchdowns a couple of times. So
Well, I mean, those guys are going to be day one NFL guys.
Mm-hmm.
They'll get drafted in the first
We
round.
talked a lot in the Tailgater show too about the trenches and who was going to win it down there on the lines and stuff. Man, those lines both played really well across the board, both sides. I was surprised there wasn't a whole lot of blitzing or really trying to attack the quarterback on either side.
No.
Yeah.
It was almost base defense on those defensive lines. Cause I don't know if it was because they were so darn worried about, the accuracy of the passers or what. I mean, that was an interesting play to me because I felt like we played them to a stalemate with those lines, offensive and defense. We didn't have a single sack. They had we had one on their guy, but it's a pretty clean game by our offensive line for sure. And I
it
thought our
was.
D line played pretty good.
containment, I think, it was a key for
Well,
both
yeah.
of these teams.
Yeah.
They don't want a big play to happen, and so you're just kind of keeping your linebackers back to make sure a screen doesn't come out of the backfield or whatever. Because these guys are super good. They can do. There's so many plays that can happen.
I mean, you got Smith and Egbuka, and then you got Henderson and Judkins in the backfield. So,
And-
yeah,
and-
you don't want to be blowing by them
we
when they're running
outrushed
out.
them in this game.
We did.
And, if it wasn't for that 155-yarder that Henderson went for,
right.
we really outrushed them in this game. I mean, that was the one real big chunk that they had on a running game.
Well, and I think that was kind of the question going into it was Ohio State hadn't really played anybody yet, not to like Oregon's caliber or any Big Ten team up in that top end. And I think we kind of found out that they have a great offense and their defense is stout, but when you play a team of Oregon or Penn State's caliber, you're going to give up a lot of yards.
How do you really think about Penn State? I know we're switching gears here, but I mean, they barely beat USC. I think they had to kick a field goal at the last minute just to beat them. And granted, it was at the Coliseum, but still, I don't know if Penn State's all that great.
I haven't honestly watched through one of their games. I've seen highlights. I haven't watched one of their games yet, so I don't know yet on that. So I got to reserve my right to talk about that later.
I'll let you reserve that. Yeah, I just kind of threw that out there, but it's hard to know. I think that Wisconsin is really, really good at home, and that's going to be a tough game coming down the stretch for the Ducks going to Camp Randall in mid-November, and it's going to be freezing.
No, it's not.
You don't think in Wisconsin?
I'm going to be there. It's going to be hot.
Okay, what? 30 degrees hot?
Whatever.
I mean, because that's hot in
I'll be-
Wisconsin at that point in time.
Yeah, I'll be wearing all my Under Armour stuff underneath and a big puffy coat and probably have earmuffs and a face mask.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun.
But yeah, it'll be a
Yeah,
good time.
that would be really cool to go to that. It's really a cool stadium. It holds quite a few people. Doesn't it hold like 100,000?
I think so.
I mean,
yeah.
it's gigantic.
Yeah, it is.
Only because there's nothing to do in Wisconsin.
Well, Green Bay,
Well, you
Wisconsin.
do have Green Bay. It's a little ways away. It's a couple of hours, maybe about 5 in the snow and the
Ugh.
ice. But yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of great games still coming up, and we have another one coming up on Friday against Purdue. Purdue, 1-5, and almost came back on Illinois. Actually, they took the lead in the fourth quarter, but we're going to get into this one. We're going to take a little break here. So, reigning Ducks, right here. We'll be back after this.
Let me ask you a question. Do you have knee, hip, back, or shoulder pain? Do you hurt just going up and down stairs or getting in and out of your car? What if I told you there was a solution? One that requires no surgery and no downtime.
I couldn't even run 10 steps, without having pain. Just feel results within days.
Contact us today and find out if regenerative medicine is right for you. This could be the first step towards a new and pain-free you.
And welcome back to Reigning Ducks. Sweet Jerry, Brandon, and Jeff joining you. And both on the podcast and on the radio. It's good stuff. This time being brought to you by GA at Home and Green Acres Landscape, right down there on Gaffin Road. Appreciate their support and sponsorship. So while we were at the break, we were talking about, okay, where are we going to go with this? Because Purdue's coming up on Friday, but there's more to talk about here.
For sure.
Ohio State, that game was just so big. And from start to finish, from the parking lot to the game, I talked to a bunch of fans outside the game. Very cool fans, very knowledgeable, good stuff. Got predictions from a bunch of them and stuff. When I was in the game, man, that's the most away fans, that's the most visitors we've ever had in there.
Yeah.
I was sitting next to groups of Ohio State fans, and there were some behind me, and they were just oohing and awing about the atmosphere in there. It was really cool to hear their take on what was going on. And everybody knows about Shout, so they were prepared for Shout. But that coming home, when Matt Kearney sang that and that coming home, they thought that was the coolest thing about the whole thing. They were like, man, that is really cool. So they really dug a lot of our atmosphere, a lot of our traditions that we do in there. They were just blown away. And the noise, of course.
Everyone that I talked to during and after the game said that was the loudest stadium they'd ever been to. I don't know how you do 60,000 this loud, but you guys do it.
Carr said that too. The coach of Michigan back in the day, he's like, that's the loudest place I've ever been to in my life, and I am not coming back.
That was the coolest headline, too, because it was right there. Yeah, I totally remember that. That was excellent. That was a loud place, too.
And even on the message boards, everybody's posting pictures with Ohio State fans with their fingers in their ears.
Oh, I went on a bunch of Ohio State forums and stuff. And I just searched it just on Google. And I went on there and I just Ohio State fan reaction to Autzen Stadium. And it went on and on and on. And Ohio State, they were talking about, we're too corporate. When they hold 104,000 or some ridiculous amount, And they go, we got a bunch of, and they said blue hairs in there. Not me, no hate mail. They were talking about the old people they had in there and, that they were too corporate. They got signs and they're selling every single entrance to every tunnel of the stadium about, this, that, and everything. And they said, it's not for the average fan. Here, they got this young crowd in there, and I'm looking at myself. And
we're not that young.
I know, we're not. We're just passionate.
We're having fun. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. But, yeah.
The other thing that I saw on all the forums that was, there were two things, but one that I want to talk about the most. Dan Lanning, did he or did he not send a 12th man on the field with 10 seconds left?
Okay, you're coming right out of a timeout. A timeout had just happened. They kind of pushed that DB out there on the field right as they were getting ready to go. And then the play went off. 4 seconds came off.
I hadn't heard about it when I watched the replay. Then I'd heard about that, and I remembered, and I think it might have been Lanning that shoved, was it Tysheem Johnson?
Yep, don't remember which one it was.
I think he grabbed him and shoved him out on the field right there, and that was the 12th guy on there. And I was just like, if he did, if that was done on purpose, he's playing chess and everybody else is playing checkers, man. It was absolutely brilliant. It's not a dead ball penalty. So they ran the play. We sent another D back. Well, and they had that bunch formation on that side, right? And then on this other side, they had Jeremiah Smith. So that bunch formation, he grabbed a hold of him and threw him right there in front of that bunch formation.
Yeah.
I think it was on purpose.
I do too. Great play call.
He's never going to admit it.
No.
Ever.
Nope.
No, he won't. But
publicly.
if it was done on purpose, I mean, brilliant. Take out 4 seconds and don't give him enough time. And obviously that turned out to be the game-winning play. There at the end because there wasn't enough time and Howard just didn't get down. And so
when I first, I'm rattling it around in my head, what's the drawback to doing it?
If you get a sack, you lose the sack.
But still time comes off.
Time will still come off, but if you put him back another 15 yards even farther out of field goal range, you'll lose that sack and they'll get 5 yards.
I hadn't thought of that, but that would be the first drawback. But again, they're still so far out of range, the time still comes off the clock.
So I think this was really a culmination. This all started. This is a culmination of Dan Lanning's learning process as a coach, right? He came to us as a defensive coordinator, and what a testament to the program that he has built over the last 3 years. I mean, he was great. Program was in good shape when he got here, but he continued to recruit the type of offensive and defensive linemen and players that we need to compete in the Big Ten.
Did you see the interview with the gal after the game? I mean, Dan Lanning, he was
He was fired up.
And it took him a while to get fired up. The more he talked, the more passionate he got and the more intense he got. And it was crazy. It's like, okay, you got to go. it was so good. How could you not get fired up on that? Because it was amazing.
He hit the police officer, too.
It was crazy. Hey, I want to thank Mid-Valley Media, John Strau, for producing the podcast and the radio show here. And, the one play that actually stands out to me that I thought was cool, there was a penalty, I believe, on when we scored a touchdown. We had a kickoff. And so we got 15 yards closer, and our kicker, I don't even know who the guy is. Is it Sappington? I don't know if he did it or not, but he kicked that ball so hard at that guy right in front of him. They recovered that fumble. That was an unbelievable play. That was Chip Kelly-esque right there back in the day. Onside kicks, whatever, to just hit a bullet right at that guy.
And Dan even said that.
On the 50-yard line, what do you got to lose? Pound that kick right at the guy as hard as you can. If you miss him, it's going downfield. It's a squib kick.
Right.
That was epic.
It was phenomenal.
And they kicked it. You know who that was that it hit? It was Caleb Downs, the safety that transferred in from Alabama. And it looked like he was trying to get out of the way because he wasn't expecting it.
He couldn't get out, but he was there. He was almost taunting him to kick it right at him. You could see his face. I could see it like right there from the sideline. I'm like, man, I bet he's going to kick it right at him.
Be careful what you ask for.
Yeah, that was unbelievable. But yeah, what a phenomenal play that was.
That was a great play call.
It was just just what Dan Lanning's game plan. All of this. And I don't know if he's doing all this stuff on the fly. I commend him if he is on the field just doing these things just based on what he's seeing and how things are lining up. But that was unreal. That was so cool to watch.
I would guess that one was because you need that 15-yard penalty because you don't want to do that when you're kicking off from the 35. But when they got that opportunity to kick off at the 50, I probably went, this is the perfect time to try that play, and let's pull it out and see if we can do it.
Yeah, Sweet Jer, Brandon Haynes, and Jeff Morgan here with you on the podcast, Raining Ducks and Full Access Sports, another one of our sponsors. Appreciate Nissa Strau. She's out and about doing all sorts of high school action right here in the Mid-Valley, so appreciate her support. So Purdue coming up on Friday night, kicking it off at 5 o'clock, I believe, our time, 8 o'clock, no, 7 o'clock back there. Midway, Indiana. No, that is 8 o'clock in Indiana, isn't it?
I don't know. I just can't get over it. I'm just still giggling at Brandon's shirt. It's a trap.
It's a trap, bro.
That is so good. John, can you zoom in on that? I don't think I'll need to. People can expand.
That was my best Admiral Akbar, impersonation there.
So funny. So Purdue actually had a good showing. They were down 27-3 and actually came back in the fourth quarter against Illinois to take the lead. This was reminiscent to me of the Alabama first half against Georgia. Georgia coming back, taking the lead, and obviously Alabama won, and Illinois was able to pull it off at home in overtime.
Right.
So Purdue, you can't let these guys just...
Well, it seems like they changed quarterbacks in the middle of the game, and that's when the offense really started to take off. And so I think that's probably who we're going to be seeing this Friday.
And we should.
They announced already that he was going to start. Who's there? Hudson Card?
Hudson Card.
Yeah. He was a transfer from Notre Dame.
Yep.
Or
was he from Texas A&M?
I don't know. One of those other schools.
Doesn't matter.
They transfer so quickly these days.
Right? They can come from anywhere now.
He'll be gone next year.
But, true freshman came in there and lit a spark. And so we've got that to contend with. Got a little bit of film on him, but...
I don't know that their defense is going to stop
that's
Oregon's
the
offense at all.
issue.
Their defense is a dumpster fire. So
we just have to avoid complacency in this game. Go in there, take care of business, get a few guys healthy that are dinged up a little bit. Did you see in the celebration a little bit? Ferguson was holding his helmet up in the air, and he cringed like that, and he did a little. It was like, what was that? I do that getting out of bed or on my lazy boy, but you expect a young stud like that to do those.
A little sting in the elbow.
We haven't even mentioned that Jordan Birch didn't play, and what a testament to the defense to be able to do what they needed to do.
There are so many storylines in this game. I think we'll do another podcast tomorrow.
I'm sure John would appreciate that. I don't think we have room or the time for crying out loud. But yeah, what a heck of a game. Just the excitement, the enthusiasm, and we cannot have a letdown. I remember Joey Harrington saying we can't have Stanford beat us twice back in the day, 2000, 2001, and they cannot have a letdown because look at Alabama. I mean, they went to Vanderbilt and got beat, and you just can't have that happen to you. So you've got to be up. It's the next game. It's one game at a time, and it sounds just vanilla when you say those things, but really it is true because emotions run high. These are kids. They run high, and you've got to get up for every game. And really, if I was Dan Lanning, I'd be pointing to that. I'd be pointing to every single game that somebody lost, after a huge win like that where emotions were high and everything was like laid on the line.
It's interesting. They always give them the day off after a game. So do you suppose the team had Sunday off, or do you suppose they had
I think they were in there
probably
watching
had
film
sessions,
Yeah.
right? I'm sure they had film sessions. They got to leave on Thursday. Thursday's a travel day now.
Yeah.
They have a walk through Friday morning. I mean, that's a quick turnaround for a game after that much emotion on there. But I'm sure the coaches got a handle on it, reworked the schedule a little bit to get everybody ready.
Well, yeah, because they knew that this game was going to be a big game and a big emotional game for all the players and even the coaches. I would say it's a big emotional
Even
game
for
for
me,
them.
I'm still recovering.
Right.
Gosh, where's that ice bath?
Is it just me?
That's right. You need a hot and cold bath.
I'm not saying
And
that
then cold
I
again.
That's right.
over imbibed, but I just felt wore out yesterday all day. And I guess that's what happens when you stand on your feet for 4 hours and scream at the top of your lungs as loud as you can. And
It was so much fun. I can't remember a game that exciting. Just
Yeah.
with all the fans, everybody's high fiving all over the place. You see people running up and down the stairs, just high fiving everybody.
Oh, yeah.
After a touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean, it was pandemonium. I mean, it was unbelievable. So we're not going to see anything like that again this year unless we go to a playoff game. But still, it's not going to be held. Well, will a playoff game be held at Autzen Stadium if they are in the top? If they get a bye, or is
No.
that going to be going to a bowl game?
Works. I think it goes to
first
the bowl.
round is at the sites. So, like, if you're in the 5 through 12, you will be playing in a home game, basically, for the higher-rated team. So,
Okay.
if we were 5 and Boise State was 12, we would probably see Boise State again. But it would be at Autzen. And then the
Okay.
next games are
Are the bowl games?
the bowl games. Yep.
So what bowl games do we have? We have a Rose Bowl. We have a Sugar Bowl.
Rose, Sugar, Cotton, Fiesta. What's Orange? Is that that's the one in
Yeah.
Florida?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how exactly they're going to do it. I mean, what would be great is if Oregon was in the top 4 and maybe Penn State or Ohio State was in the top 4, you'd put them together to play in the Rose Bowl.
That would be cool.
That would be cool.
Right
Hey,
on.
what do you guys think? So a little bit of controversy about the rankings and stuff. Personally, I could give a crap about the rankings this early and
Doesn't
stuff, but what do you think about that? Texas still right there, but Ohio State only dropped a couple.
I think it's
That's
legit.
fair,
I mean,
yeah.
Ohio State could have won the football game if they had another 4 seconds. So when you think about that, it could have gone either way. So I don't think they should have dropped any further than that. Penn
And
State,
nobody else looked great. I mean, Alabama struggled to beat South Carolina. Georgia struggled to beat Mississippi State. So it was not like anybody was blowing out other teams saying we're the best.
It's going to start changing. I mean, you've got Georgia at Texas this weekend, and that's going to be that'll be the game of the week. That'll be phenomenal. They'll be doing Texas will be doing what we were doing
Right.
this last weekend. So that's going to just shake it all up again. Is Georgia going to come away with 2 losses now? Halfway through the season, that would be crazy. Kirby Smart. I don't know what's going on there,
I
but
don't think so. I
As
think
far as
Georgia
Texas
wins that
being
game.
staying number 1, I think that's legit. I don't think we should have jumped them because Texas throttled Oklahoma.
It's what also makes college football so exciting is that you can argue about it every single week, but it really doesn't matter until it starts to hash out towards the end. I feel real comfortable where we're at.
Well, hey, we got to get out. Podcast is just about over. I want to thank again our sponsors, Capital Nissan, Advantage Heating and Air, and Electrical, GA at Home, Green Acres, Mid-Valley Media, Full Access Sports. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Go Ducks!